If you struggle with poor germination, stalled plants, or discolored seedlings, then you need to watch this video. My name is Liz Lewis, and welcome to my bedroom. Yes, this is my bedroom. This is not my only grow shelf. I have a few more in the room below me, but this is, I guess you could say, my favorite one. This is my little NICU, as I saw somebody on Facebook call their little seedling house, sprout house chamber once. They called it a NICU, and I thought that was so cute. And so now I'm kind of saying, oh, this is my little NICU, because I'm constantly monitoring and adjusting and moving and rotating things and changing the light heights and all of that. So yes, this is my little seedling NICU. And so I am going to help all of you out there that are struggling with germination and stalled plants and those lousy yellow colored leaves, and you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? Hopefully today I'll be able to help you with all of that. So before I get started, you might want to say, well, what does this lady really know, right? I know quite a bit. I'm going to give you a little tour with some of the things that I have on here, and then you can decide for yourself whether or not you think what I have to say is important to you. So anyway, this right here, you might also be wondering right now, what's up with this? This is a solar blanket, okay? So I've seen a lot of people use things like aluminum foil, or they've used like that contractors insulation, and they like line their grow rooms with it because it's reflective, right? And it keeps the heat in. Well, those things are really expensive, and to use aluminum foil to cover a shelf or go around lights, to me, is just bonkers. So I was like, it is a problem though, because if you don't have some sort of covering on your seed shelf, I mean, I'm just going to move this old sheet because my covering doesn't cover the sides. And so I'm just going to move this old sheet, and you can see just how bright it really is in there. And when I'm laying right there in my bed, you know, because you guys are sitting on my bed right now on 3 boxes stacked up. But anyway, when I'm laying on my bed, I certainly don't want to have that in my eyes. And I certainly don't need all of this light escaping out into my room. I've got plenty of light in my room. I've got these giant windows. I've got a light in the ceiling. I want the light that I bought from my grow lights to stay on my plants. And that is exactly what this solar blanket does. It keeps it filtered in there. It is very reflective. So all the light that you would normally let escape out bounces right off the solar blanket and back onto the seedlings. Okay? So that is super, super important. Another thing that the solar blanket actually does do is it keeps the temperature inside the shelf unit a couple of degrees warmer than it would be out in my room. So as it's solar, and these lights do actually give off a little bit of heat. Not a lot. I mean, the seedlings can actually grow to touch them, and the lights are not going to burn them in any way, but they do give off a slight bit of warmth. And when you have 10 of them all in one unit, that little bit of heat, even if it's just a degree or two, makes a big difference. So I have this little clip here. It's just a little clamp. I've sometimes used like a binder clip too. And I am just going to unroll my solar blanket. And I just clip it up there when I need. And you can see how bright that is? It's massively blinding bright. And I definitely don't want to stare at that all day. I don't. I mean, I'm not in my room all day, of course. But when I am, that is not at all what I want. So anyway, I'm just going to show you a couple things. Let's see. Start off at eye level here. This is some yarrow that I planted. Well, it says transplanted 3/19, so that means I started it on 3/4. It was my first My very, very, very first sowing for the whole season was on 3/4. 3/4, so that is a whole beautiful tray of yarrow. This is an absolutely gorgeous tray of apple blossom snapdragons, also sowed on March 4th and transplanted on 3/17. Aren't they gorgeous? Some of them are pinched. I did not pinch all of them because I want some early blooms. Let's see. This is a gorgeous, beautiful, absolutely magnificent tray of feverfew, also grown on sowed on 3/4. I have, let's see, these little babies. These little babies were sowed on April 2nd. So these are snapdragons. These are Madam Butterfly Red. Yep, Madam Butterfly Red. They're just about 2 weeks old. They've got some really good growth on them, and they've already been fertilized once, and they will get fertilized again very soon. And this is a beautiful tray of Status. I accidentally killed 2 right there. We'll just cover that up. Well, this is a beautiful tray of Status, also trying to block that light. See how bright that light is? Also sowed on April 2nd. So beautiful. So now that you've seen the quality of some of my seedlings, many different varieties. I showed you yarrow. I showed you feverfew, snapdragon, Status. I've got a tray of rudbeckia in there. I've got a bunch of stalk on the very, very bottom, and I still have some plants that are in the germinating. You can see that I just have some plastic wrap over the top. These have not quite germinated yet, but I don't expect them to for another couple of days. So now I guess I can let you decide whether or not you want to continue listening to this video and see if I can help you. I'm going to put my little babies back where I found them, which I've already messed that up terribly. Hold on. You guys go here. You can see how close the lights are to my seedlings. Obviously these ones are much taller, but they're still only about an inch away from the top of the plant. You can go here, and you can go here. And let's shut this, that way we're not blinded by the light anymore. And you can see what a beautiful difference that makes. Ta-da! Now it is much easier to look at the screen, I'm sure. So, those are my seedlings. Now, I belong to a group on Facebook called Cut Flowers 101, and one of the biggest patterns I see on there is people asking, why aren't my plants germinating? Why, especially snapdragons. I always have really, really, really good luck with snapdragons with the way that I sow them. And I'm going to hopefully help you out, okay, with that. So we're going to talk sowing the seeds. We're going to talk fertilizing the seeds, watering the seeds, okay? All of those things matter. But, and there's a huge but here, the most important thing to remember when you are going to sow your seeds is to treat your soil first. Write that down. Put it at your seed starting station in a place where you will see it every time you go to start your seeds. Treat your soil first, okay? If you do not do that, you can set yourself up for failure the whole rest of the way, okay? And it won't matter what you do. It won't matter what kind of lights you have, the temperature in your room, heat mat, no heat mat, fertilizer, no fertilizer, water treated with mosquito bits and this and that, it will not matter. If you do not treat your soil first, 95% of the time, your seedlings will suffer. I'm not saying you'll have 100%, horrible mess, but you will not have what I just showed you, okay? The first thing I do when I go to sow my seeds is boil my soil, okay? My seed starting soil. I always start with seed starter, okay? I have a kitty litter container, okay? You can use a tub, you can use a tote, you can use a dishpan, whatever. Reuse what you have. I never need to treat all of my soil at one time. I only do what I'm going to use. And sometimes, I do most of my seed starting on Saturdays. Just so happens that today is a Saturday that I had off. I didn't have to sow any seeds today. I did them last week and the week before, and now my next succession will be on the 22nd, right? So, seed starting container, fill it up with as much soil as you can fit in there, okay? And then get a big pot. Get a big pasta pot, all right? Probably the biggest one you have. And boil water. And get it rapidly boiling, okay? This is so important. So important. Once the water is rapidly boiling, start pouring it over your seed starter mix, okay? Don't dump it all in at once. You're gonna keep gradually adding and adding and adding, keeping it very hot until you have the right consistency. And when you'll know you have the right consistency in your soil when it's sticking to the spoon, kind of like a snowball sticks together in your hand. It'll stick to the spoon and be clumpy. All right, you don't want to mix, obviously, the soil with the boiling water in it. You can't use your hands. Had to say that because somebody will try to use their hands, okay? But you have to use a metal spoon or a wooden spoon. And I probably still have, no. And you keep mixing and mixing and mixing, and you add more boiling water, and you're mixing and you're mixing and you're mixing. You're getting all the stuff from underneath onto top, and then you add more boiling water, and you just keep on doing that until, ta-da, your seed starter is treated and it's nice and moist. And then you're gonna let it sit. Now, some people take a piece of aluminum foil and put it on top and just let it sit like that. If you're like me, and I'm usually like, okay, I want to get to sewing right away, I let it sit by itself for like 15-20 minutes, just to the point where I can start touching it with my hands. Okay? So that right there is going to save you so much trouble, because every single seed starter or potting soil or topsoil or pro mix or whatever it is that you use has bug larvae in it. They have it, and it's usually the gnat larva, okay? And if you don't kill that, those little babies are going to hatch as soon as you give them water and warmth. They're gonna hatch, okay? And then guess what? Babies are hungry, okay? And those little babies are going to start eating the roots of your plants. Then your plants are going to stop growing. And then your plants are going to start showing these weird yellow colors, right? And then your leaves might droop down. And then before you know it, your plants are going to die, most likely, okay? If you already have gnats, you already have a baby larva bug problem, okay? So you're going to want to get gnat traps to stop any more laying of eggs in the soil, because that's all the adults are going to do. The adults don't harm your plants. What they do, though, is they lay eggs in your soil, okay? So if you already had eggs there and then they've hatched and they've turned into adults, and now those adults are laying more eggs, you are going to be in a huge, huge, huge problem situation. So you're going to want to treat your soil first before putting any of your seeds in it. And if you do already have adult gnats, the only way that you're going to be able to maybe help yourself is by getting some sort of a chemical pesticide stuff called mosquito bits and putting up yellow sticky traps to trap the adults, and something else to kill the larva in the cell plug, whatever it is that you use as your growing medium. But I don't ever, like, me personally, I don't ever want to use chemicals or pesticides or anything like that, even if it's supposedly safe or whatever, on my plants. I try to avoid that, even if it says, safe and for pets, and I don't know. I just try to avoid it. If I know that I can avoid that with simple boiling water, I'm gonna do it. Plus, the mosquito stuff is expensive. So if you don't take this step, then you may as well not even bother doing anything further, because this is like the foundation. This is the home where your little seedling and their little roots are going to rest for several weeks before they get planted out. So if you're not going to treat the soil first, and you're just going to say, it'll be fine, then you may as well just not even bother and just save your money. Okay? Plain and simple. I don't mean to sound like, harsh or anything, but that's just the reality of it. So, anyway, treat soil. Then, step 2. Now you have nice, warm, moistened, pre-moistened, right, soil. You never start seeds in dry soil. That's not a good idea. That's never a good idea. People don't realize how much water it actually takes to moisten soil properly. And so if you're putting dry soil into something like this, and then you're sowing your seeds, and then you're just dumping water on it, you're just making a huge mistake. So use pre-moistened soil, and you're always going to get pre-moistened soil if you follow my instructions, because that means you would have boiled your soil first. So anyway, after your soil has cooled and it's comfortable for you to touch, and then you're going to start filling your plug trays. Now, these are 48 plugs. I have 72 plugs. I have 36 plugs. These were just the ones that were closest to me, so I grabbed those. If you don't have these, but you have a tray of some kind, like this, or like a chicken tray, or a Tupperware container that has a lid on it that you don't snap totally tight, but you can just kind of place on there like a dome like that. Those all work perfectly good too. So I'm going to talk you through snapdragons right now, because they seem to be the seed that gets the most people they just have so much trouble with snapdragons. So hopefully after this, I am going to help you with that. So all the snapdragons that you saw over here, the big ones, not the little ones that were in the plug tray, but the big giant ones that were in the plug tray, I started on this tray right here. All of them. And no, I do not use soil blocks. I have nothing against soil blocks. I just know that I have limited space. I have this shelf, I have another shelf downstairs, and another little area in another room. I have limited space. And if I was soil blocking everything, before I know it, I would have thousands of plants, and I would have nowhere to transplant them to, because I would just run out of room. This, I know I can fit 20 of these on. I can fit 20 perfectly. There are 20 on there right now. One of these trays, if I did soil blocks, I could fit enough soil blocks to fill 4 of these on one of these, and so easily things can get out of control. Now I know soil blocks are great and the roots grow really awesome if you don't start them too early. If you start your seeds too early in a soil block, you're in trouble. And so, I need a sip of coffee, hold on. And so, if you are going to soil block, and I might do a little bit of soil blocking, I'm not going to do it until about 3 weeks before I'm ready to plant out, which won't be for a little over a month now. So, in a few weeks, yeah, if I get a shelf available, which I probably won't, but we'll see. I might throw, 1,000, I don't know, sunflowers or something in some soil blocks all on one tray, and then whoop, right outside they're gonna go in just a couple of weeks. So that's not a big deal. I won't have to transplant them into bigger containers and then find a room for them under the lights. They'll go straight outside. So if we're gonna go from soil block to outside, great. If I don't have to transplant, great. So you will fill your vessel. Okay, I'll say this one because this is what I planted my snapdragons in the first place is with the treated boiled soil. You will fill that up. And I did. I filled it up pretty level. Okay. And I planted apple blossom snaps and lavender snaps, and I think I did a Potomac mix in the middle. All right. And then you just take the little seeds, and you don't have to do, if you got 50 seeds in a packet, that's pretty easy to, just sprinkle them on, giving them some space. If you accidentally get 5 all in one spot, well, you accidentally got 5 all in one spot. No big deal. All right. But don't put 10,000 because every seed that you sow, you have to transplant. Okay. So you have to make sure that you have the place to transplant them to, the space in your shelves and under your lights. Okay, lighting is important. So I think I did 50 to 60 or whatever apple blossom. I did Potomac and I did lavender. All right. And I do succession plant, as you saw. I have little itty bitty baby ones, and I have much larger ones, and I have some that are even medium in between. So every time I sow seeds, yep, I'm sowing snapdragons. And so you just sprinkle it on top. Okay? Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Label, label, label. And then you cover with some vermiculite, lightly sprinkle, not like a full-on, can't see the seed starter mix anymore. Just a nice little salt and pepper sprinkle of vermiculite. And then you take your mister. Where's my mister? I don't have my mister. Crumbs. You take your mister and you just mist the top one last little time. Cover with plastic wrap. Put it under lights and forget about it for at least 5 or 6 days. And you don't have to put the plastic wrap like super tight. You don't. Just lay it on there. It doesn't stick very good to this styrofoam anyway, but just lay it on there. Press and seal kind of works good too. And then just put it on there and forget about them. Don't water them. Don't open the plastic. Don't touch them. Just leave them alone. Lights on during the day, lights off at night. Okay? I usually have these on for about 16 and a half hours every day. Okay? When I wake up, they go on. When I go to bed, they go off. It's that easy. So, that's it, folks. Then, you will see germination in about 5 or 6 days. I promise you. If you follow every step I just told you, you will see germination in a few days. Okay? I promise you. And you won't get helmet head either. Well, the helmet head is when it germinates, but the seed won't come off the top. Okay? It's because it was too dry. All right? Because you didn't leave the humidity on, or you're always touching it, or you forgot to put the vermiculite and mist the top really good. That happens. So it is important. You don't want to drown the seedlings, but you do want to lock the moisture in so you don't get helmet head on your little snapdragon seeds. I don't know why I'm holding an empty tray here, Anyway, within a week, okay? Within a week, you will have germination. I promise you. Once you've got, they're tiny, little itty bitty things popping up through the vermiculite, okay? Slowly and carefully pull back the plastic wrap, okay? And put it back under the lights. Doesn't need more water. Still very, very moist. Put it back under the lights and let them grow, okay? Check on them daily, okay? Check on them daily. I know the top might look dry, but the bottom isn't, okay? It's still pretty moist. My house is about anywhere between 65 and 70 degrees. It fluctuates, usually about 67 degrees, okay? Yes, the lights give off a little bit of heat. But I'm going to show you something, okay? And this is a type of grass, okay? And it's an experiment that I was doing because I wanted to see how long could something go without getting water. Like, how drought resistant is this stuff? And this is a type of grass and it's not a lot of seeds, but I haven't watered this in over 3 weeks. I think it's my son's birthday was March 23rd and it was before that. They're still not dead. They're looking pretty dry and crusty, but they're still not dead, okay? A lot of plants are very drought resistant. The worst thing that you can do is overwater your plants. Don't overwater. These seedlings are on a 3 and 4 day watering schedule. 3 and 4 days, okay? So that means I watered Wednesday morning. I will water tonight, Saturday at night, okay? Then I'll water again Wednesday morning. And then I'll water again Saturday night. And I'll water again Wednesday morning. And I'll water again Saturday night, okay? That's what I do. And I do a fertilizing every other watering. So they're getting fertilized once a week, okay? Yes, I fertilize my little itty bitty seedlings with this. I have used Neptune's Harvest in the past. Love it. Have nothing bad to say about it. The only reason why I'm not using it this year is because I ran out of it and I had some of this. So I was like, I'll use this. There was no rhyme or reason. But I try different kinds of fertilizers for different kinds of things. And last year I used this on a lot of vegetables. And I know it's just as good on flowers. And as you can see, it works beautiful. It is organic, OMRI approved. And I do not wait till true leaves appear. I do not starve my seedlings, okay? That is another thing that I want to talk to you about, okay? So, untreated soil, like we talked about before, will give you the little bug larva, okay? Which will cause your plants to be stunted because something's eating the plant's roots. So now the plant is like focusing super, super hard on trying to grow roots and it can't grow itself. All right, I've seen people go a month, 2 months without fertilizing because they're like, my plant's just not growing. Well, your plant's just not growing because something's eating it alive, and I've talked to a lot of people online about this, and I was like, you got to pull one out and see what the root system looks like. If it's got like these stupid, itty bitty, tiny roots, it's because something's been eating it and the poor thing is just struggling to live. So that's the untreated soil, and unfortunately, unless you transplant all of them into treated soil, there's no way getting out of that. But the other thing is people are waiting way, 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 way too long to fertilize. You do not have to wait until the first true leaves appear. I don't know who or why or when that started. I never have waited for the first true leaves to appear on anything. I usually am fertilizing my seedling from the date from 21 days, right? So from the day that I sow it in the dirt, and then I know that the seed case on the seed itself will feed the seedling for a while because there's endosperm inside the seed case, and that will feed the seedling for a while, but then that's gone after about 2 weeks. And so usually at the end of the third week, around the 21-day mark, my seedlings get fertilized. They get fed. Yes, it's diluted. I follow the directions right on the bottle. There is a seedling and transplanting directions right on the bottle, and I've never had a problem. The only problem that I have is sometimes my seedlings grow too fast. Okay. So, and that's a problem I'm happy to have because I know I've got healthy roots and I've got healthy, happy plants that are not discolored, that are not stunted, and they are thriving. And that's what we all want. We spend a lot of money on these seeds. And look at all the planning that goes in to this project. I mean, I have seed starting notebooks, and I have seed starting calendars, and I have seed starting catalogs, and I have my seeds bunched up. So I know that on April 22nd, I'm going to plant all of these seeds, probably, most likely, into trays like this, plug trays like this. And there's a lot of organizing that goes into it. So you got to give yourself the best possible start. And so my advice to you, to give yourself the best possible start, treat that soil. That's my biggest piece of advice. Treat that soil and make sure that you are feeding your seedlings. Now, I'm not going to say that any old fertilizer is good. I have not had good luck with the electric blue kind in the green and yellow box that we've all probably, initials are MG. I've never had good luck with that. I have killed lots of hanging baskets and lots of plants with that stuff, following the directions. But I've never had problem with Fox Farm or Neptune's Harvest. Love both of them, would use both of them, and I trust them on my seedlings. My little babies in the NICU, they get fed. So, hopefully, and you can use this seed starting method for anything. All right, so I did snapdragons in this tray. All right. But you can also, if you want to skip a step, the transplanting step. So like once these are pretty big, okay, then you're going to have to, and snaps are very forgiving, then you're going to have to separate all the seedlings and then plant them individually into their own plug or cup or something, okay? And that's a step that sometimes I don't want to take. So sometimes I do the toothpick method, and I take 2 seeds per cell, usually in a 72 plug, and sometimes I get more than 2 seeds in the cell. It's fine. I do use a toothpick, but I know that the time that it takes me to do that is time that I'm buying myself back in the future when I don't have to transplant them out of this into a plug tray. So you can decide which method works best for you. I've done both. Sometimes I don't have time to do, sometimes my Saturdays I have a ball game or something I gotta go to. Sometimes my Saturdays are like, nope, I just gotta sprinkle some seeds under the light and I get it done. But sometimes I have all day and I'll just do it and get it over with. All right? So you can do that. My other piece of advice is if you have seeds and the instructions are just very blah, very matter of fact, and just put the seeds in dirt and go, you need to go on to johnnyseeds.com and you need to type in the flower that you are trying to grow, And then once you find the flower, you just click on one that's similar or the exact variety that you have, but most of the time you can click on any of the varieties and click on growing information. And the growing information gives you very detailed instructions that you need to follow. Some seeds require light to germinate. Some seeds don't want light to germinate. The only thing that I'm going to say that might be a little different than what you will see on a packet is that I don't have a heating mat. I've never had heating mats, and I don't plan on ever getting heat mats. I do this in my house. My house is plenty warm enough. I start off with warm soil. I don't need a heat mat, and I'm not going to get one. And proof is in the pudding. My seeds germinate and they grow and they thrive without a heat mat. I have nothing against them. If you want to take your money and invest in heat mats, go for it. If you are growing in a cooler basement or outside in a greenhouse when it's still too cool, go for it. I just don't think it's required, and things like snapdragons, for one, and cool flowers, they don't like it. They don't like it. And I don't need super fast germination because we're already starting these seeds weeks and weeks before our frost dates. And honestly, the longer that we have them inside, the tougher it's going to get for them, because you really want them inside, indoors, in these little tight containers the least amount of time possible, right? And we know things like weather really interfere with our frost dates and our plant out dates. And last year I had every intention of getting my plants out Memorial Day weekend, and guess what? The weather said, oh no, you're not. Oh no, you're not. You're not going to get your seeds out until June 11th. June 11th. That was the first day last year of decent consecutive weather days, because you don't want to put your seedlings in the ground on a beautiful sunny day and the next day it's a torrential downpour. You know, you want to get them on the ground on a nice, mild, sunny day, but also have 3 or 4 more mild, sunny days afterwards, you know, so you really have to plan that out. You can't just say, I'm just going to plant them out and whatever it is, it'll be. Oh no, especially if you haven't hardened off properly, if you haven't hardened off your seedlings properly and you just throw them out into the ground and then the next day it's like 95 mile an hour winds, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but even 30 mile an hour winds, that'll do a lot of damage to little seedlings. So I was not able to get any of my plants out until June 11th. So that was almost 2 full weeks longer that those babies should have been stuck in this. And it stunted. I had all of my amaranth was stunted. It hardly grew last summer. It was horrible. It was horrible. I had a couple of other things. My coleus, that got stunted. What was that other one? Oh, I even had, thankfully, I did a lot of successions of celosia, but I had some celosia that just, it never died, but it never grew either. It was just like, look what you did to me. Now I'm not going to grow for you, you know? So, yeah, you have to be mindful of all of those things. And so my best piece of advice, again, treat your soil before you sow your seed, okay? And I guess, and make sure you follow the directions on the seed packet. Okay? I guess that is it for now. Feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. Leave a comment on Facebook or in the video. Reach out to me directly. I'm on Cut Flowers 101. My name is Elizabeth Lewis. You might have seen me on there lots of times. And that is it for me for today. Bye.